What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the top of the map in the blue color, playing as Hades. His name is Nullus. His opponent today in the red color, playing as Odin. His name is Yoshii. The map, I don't think I need to say too much about the map because you already know that it's mega random. But the more important thing that we have to talk about is what's happening up there. You can see Nullus has 1 point, and that is not a typo. What happens in this tournament is if you are late to the starting time, we award the players a point. So unfortunately for Yoshii, he got the time wrong, and Nullus was actually generous enough to say, instead of giving you the full victory, I'm just going to say we'll just go with a 1 game advantage and then continue from there. Totally cool if both players decide to do that, but that is the nature of a tournament. If you have a scheduled time, you have to get that time correct. Anyways, this is going to be an amazing matchup for you guys today. We've got Odin, we've got Hades, we've got Mega Random, we've got an interesting spawn here from the get-go. Now, I have been doing this, I've been trying to do this thing where I don't take too much of a look at the map until the players have found it. So let's just see exactly what we've seen thus far on this map. We've got ourselves a lion over here. Over here, we're finding some extra hunt on the left side of the map. This feels like a fairly low hunt competitive mega random map. It's got some berries, but in reality, there's really just not that much food. Very Oasis vibes here. Not only that, we're going to have what looks to be a cliff here, which might give off some one whole Oasis kind of vibes, or even Jotunheim kind of vibes here, with the entirety of this map can get walled off right in the middle here. You get a wall here, you get a wall over here, you get a wall over here. And this can be a very, very defensively orientated map here. The Odin player in Yoshii is not going to be happy about this one at all. He wants the open maps. He wants the high hunt maps. And this is very much going to be Hades' paradise here. So we'll see how it's going to go. We've already got 8 villages for Nullus on this hunt in his base now. If you've followed any of my kind of Greek theory, not only Greek theory, but every single civilization theory, the ideas that I come up with essentially revolve around how much food starts in my home base. If I have enough food to hit a hunting dog's classical age, I will go for the hunting dog's classical age most of the time. So if I've got 800 food in my base, I'm actually aiming for a sub 4 minute classical age, and maybe even going to eat one of the pigs. And that kind of looks like what Nullus is going to be going for. His temple is already up. The last villager is going to be coming out here. It is going to be a 3 minute advance time. If he has the food for it, he might decide to cut villages. No, he doesn't decide to cut villages. He has one more queued up. So going for just a touch slower. I'm not sure exactly if that was like an ordering thing here. Maybe not. Who knows? But that is kind of the vibe here. And now Yoshii, on the other hand, he's finishing up his zebra. And going to be moving over onto the zebra, I'm sure, very, very shortly. The map is also, if you'll notice on the actual mini map over here, if you check out where my mouse is, you'll actually notice that this map is quite narrow. Often you won't notice this when you're actually playing, but if you take a look at the mini map and you see the strips down, this is something that happens on a map like Anatolia. So this is something that players are accustomed to, but maybe not aware of. And Anatolia is a narrower map than normal, and therefore is an option in competitive mega random, as we are seeing Nullus moving his way over to the other zebra here, going up through Athena. Yoshii, on the other hand, going through Freya. So no real surprises here. No Heimdall shenanigans from Yoshii, though he's actually really good with Heimdall, and no Ares shenanigans with Nullus, even though Nullus and a lot of Hades players to boot really enjoy the Ares in this matchup. Not necessarily for the immediate pressure of it all, but just for the fact you get out a Cyclops, you get out early god power that you can use on your opponent to slow him down, and you can put some hard pressure onto your opponent here. So we do see the zebra getting killed off, the raven hovering above Yoshii. Going to be happy that he's found this. He's already sending the Herso forward. He's got the Scarab Pendant in his grasps here. Did he put the other relic into his temple? Not just yet. I see the relic here. So there is the Ship of Fingernails here, which is not a bad relic, especially for a map with such low food like this one here. As the Herso going to be wandering forward here. Going to try and take these villages down. We'll see how it's all going to go. We've got Nullus moving forward with his Minotaur. Actually, I think this is a great idea from Nullus. The idea is that potentially the Odin player is going to be sending their Hursa forward to harass, and the Minotaur is not going to be much use on the defensive end, whereas you can send him forward to opponent's hunt and start doing some real damage where that's concerned. Minotaur's getting pushed back, however, as a couple of Hursa are already in Yoshi's base. This is fairly standard for Odin players, getting out a handful of Hursa to start the game off, just so you're not going to get a whole lot of value out of an early Minotaur attack here. Meanwhile, we are seeing that Valkyrie going to be swinging around here. We've already got Sentinels thrown down, but Forest Fire is a real threat, so Nullus will have to be aware of this. I wouldn't be surprised if Yoshii just casts Forest Fire straight away, even though I'm fairly against that idea considering the style of this map here with this forest over here, and the potential for walls in the middle of this map could be very difficult for an Odin to break through. So holding on to that Forest Fire makes a lot of sense here, as we are seeing Yoshii taking down one pig here, but probably going to be losing her life here as she's kicked off two and going to get a couple of hits onto the Minotaur before falling. Chiron returns back home. Hurso returning back home here as the Hoplite Toxotes of Nullus are out here. More houses coming up. Some decent building placement here thus far for Yoshii. One thing that I guess it doesn't matter so much for the Odins or the Norse. I wouldn't mind seeing those squash-style buildings get thrown up, just so they have a little bit of a escape route and things like that. We are seeing the raiding cavalry able to take down one Toxotes here before having to retreat away. Nullus' army is starting to mass here. That was a really, really nice marker from Yoshii. If he can buy the time to get the HP back on those two raiding cavalry here, he's going to be in a very, very nice spot here. As the villagers going to be retreating away, the raiding cavalry are going to be looking for some sort of picks here, especially with all of Nullus' units going to be continuously piling forward into into Yoshi's base here. If he can find some stray units with these raiding cavalry, he's going to be really, really happy. But Nullus smartly just going to calm down on the rally point here. Get a handful of units before moving forward is really, really smart here. As Nullus pushing into this location, going after the houses here. Something that Yoshi is going to live to regret is building those houses on the front. This is something that more and more Norse players are kind of learning, is that you actually don't need to build your houses like an Egyptian player builds their houses. It's actually a lot easier to just put wall segments around your towers and build your houses in the box around your town center, such that farms are available, but the houses are very, very secured. As the units pushing in over here, the Minotaur does get a special off here. This is very un-Yoshi-like. He would not normally take this fight. Losing one raiding cavalry there is going to hurt quite a lot as the walls getting finished up over here. Will we be seeing watchtowers anytime soon is the big question. It doesn't look like he's researching. He's just on his chickens. He has managed to eat all of these zebra over here and does have some nice berries in this corner that he can jump onto afterwards. Nullus, on the other hand, decided not to go for these berries, instead opting to return back into his chicken. Idea being, as we're still seeing the fight ensuing here, the idea being that it's a lot safer for Nullus to gather inside of his base than on those risky berries over there, as these raiding cavalry are going to be distracting the enemy units here. Chiron, Toxotes getting some good damage done. If you can split up your Toxotes and Chiron from your melee units, getting harassed onto the opposing players' Toxotes, you can have a really, really nice time here. As houses starting to fall, Yoshii definitely needs to throw down as many houses as he possibly can in his base right now, but he is managing to snipe straggler units over here. This is key for an Odin player to have any sort of advantage in this matchup when they're going for raiding cavalry, as we are seeing villagers now getting harassed though by Nullus, who's found the villagers here. The villagers will have to move off of this location into and onto the pigs over here. The wood villagers on this location here, very, very suspicious looking at this point. And the other big problem that Yoshii is going to be running into, which wouldn't normally happen on a lot of maps, but on this map it is happening. I mean, if you compare the differences in each player's maps, is that Yoshii's gold is all on the top side of the map compared to Nullus, who's got gold kind of on each different side. So he's not going. So Yoshii basically has to fight for his second gold in this game. So we'll see what he's going to try and do. He is still going after these Toxotes here. I love this play of sending like one raiding cavalry after each of those Toxotes and then just retreating afterwards. Trading one raiding cavalry for two Toxotes. Nice play there. Did lose a third one for, it's kind of two raiding cavalry for three Toxotes. Not a bad trade, but in essence here, Yoshii has to move out onto a second gold mine here. He is onto these berries. He does want to get to the heroic age, but he's going to be running out of gold fairly soon here. And we'll see how it's going to go. Nullus does still have his restoration. However, most of the time here, the Greek player, the Athena user, is going to want to save their restoration for Frost. If you can save for Frost, you're going to be in a fantastic position. So we'll see how it's going to go. Going to be throwing up some walls over here. I like these walls because he knows that the gold is on this location down the bottom. One thing that Nullus hasn't done, which he definitely could have done here, is get himself a Pegasus. He's got 4 favor in the bank, get himself a Pegasus, send that over here. Could have spotted these villages, got some extra damage done. This is one thing that I'm surprised Greek players don't do more of, because it is really, really strong having a flying scout on the map. 2 population in the classical age. You know exactly where you need to send your army. You're never going to be splitting your army up. It's really, really important for a Greek player to have their army all kind of doing what they need to do here. As we do see the Katoskopos here getting shot down. The raiding cavalry are going to be searching around, and Aphrodite is on the way for Nullus. Is Skadi on the way for Yoshii? Yes, it is. So this is actually getting into very nail-biting territory where Nullus hasn't managed to actually deal a significant amount of damage to Yoshii's economy here. It's 34 villages to 36. This is, I would argue, in favor of the Norse a lot of the time because they have dwarves. In fact, how many dwarves does he have? If we take a quick look over here, he's got himself 11 dwarves. So those dwarves will definitely make up for the 2 villager deficit that he's in. Beyond that, Skadi is on the way. There's no underworld shenanigans. Yes, there's going to be some sort of curse that's going to come in, but no underworld shenanigans to hit this gold mine and get in on the back here to have an escape route for Skadi. So Yoshii's got everything he needs in this game, and he's actually going for a town center here, which might work, might not. I think it's a little bit greedy at this stage, considering he's only at 98 population. He's going to want to get out Huskal here, even though Nullus is definitely going to start thinking about making some Hypaspis, I'm sure, as the raiding cavalry searching around, going to be checking out town centers, making sure nothing's happening here as the army of Nullus is slowly making its way forward onto this location. This is incredibly dangerous. This is probably going to have to be a curse here as the army of Yoshii moving over here. The dwarf is going to start getting taken out, and we do see that Frost getting thrown down, the curse coming down as well straight away as the units, he didn't even catch all the units here of Nullus, as Nullus has got a handful of units over here, more streaming in. The raiding cavalry are turning back. Yoshii does have himself 2 town centers here, and he is going to be throwing up this hill fort at this time. However, having to deal with restoration and not getting the extra DPS and picking off all these units is going to be a really, really challenging time here for Yoshii. Not only that, we're seeing heavy infantry coming through for Nullus, which is going to be incredibly powerful. This is a situation where the Norse player is going to be wanting to go for Huskal throwing axemen here until they sort out their economy onto the farms. So Nullus going heavy infantry means he can go straight into those Hypaspists and hoplites and stop making so many Toxotes and be completely fine, because he's going to want to throw up farms. That's the kind of natural transition here as the army popping out here. We will be seeing a restoration from Nullus as the units are going to fall very, very fast here as Ikaron taking down that Frost Giant as fast as he possibly can. Ajax takes down a raiding cavalry over here. More reinforcements coming for Nullus. Population is 116 for Nullus to 78 as Yoshii's forces here are dying incredibly fast. Not only that, but he's also got to worry about the shade follow-up here. The dwarves getting picked off. There's no gold mine to go to in this situation, and this is looking incredibly dire for Yoshii. He's definitely going to be regretting that second town center here. 2 hill forts would have been a much safer option to defend this gold mine, which was so important. And Yoshii going to be retreating now. He does still have the hill fort. He's making himself Jarl Huskal here. Doesn't really have many farms set up in that moment. Yoshii does decide to tap out. Nullus was an incredibly strong timing push there, punishing that second town center. I'm surprised Yoshii went for a second town center here. Honestly, like, there's no need for a Norse player to get 1 town center above a Greek player. This doesn't happen very often. If you go 1 town center, unless you've got a very easy way to defend your gold mine, you don't need to go for that extra greed, because the Greek player is always going to be trying to gold starve you at some point. That is their number 1 goal. Otherwise, they have to react to some sort of tier timing, some sort of Ragnarok timing. So they're never going to go for town centers. So you can't actually get a second town center unless unless you've got a secured gold mine, because that's your lose condition. If you lose the gold mine, you lose the game. It doesn't matter how many town centers you have. So what makes sense here from Yoshii's point of view would have been double hill fort onto this location, into Huskarl throwing axemen, into town centers, into trying to get a really, really strong Ragnarok here or Fimble Winter or something like that. Or alternatively going for a Skadi timing attack onto his opponent with heavy infantry, and probably just heavy infantry or heavy raiding cavalry or something like this to try and get the reverse gold staff onto his opponent. Things like casting Frost onto this location with a handful of units here is so powerful for Odin, but Yoshii did neither of those things. Nullus played incredibly solid here. Unfortunately, we only get to see one game from these guys, but I'm sure there's going to be fireworks for them for the rest of the tournament. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next game.